Alright guys, we're going to start off with some beginner books. Now beginner books are fantastic for learning the upper register. If you think about it, when you started off with your beginner book on your trumpet, it took you step by step through a process of learning to play. Well, we're just going to take a little bit of a different approach. We're going to use it to help us get into the upper register. Now, you don't have to use all of these. You can use some, pick and choose what's going to work for you, but I want to go over several options here so you have some tools to use. I'm actually going to start first with a beginner flute book. And this is an old one. It doesn't really matter. Just about any beginner book on flute will help us with this. And let me turn to the exercise I picked out for this one to show you why I like flute books for learning the upper register. Alright, we're going to look at the Old Gray Goose. If I can get it here. I think we got it now. Yeah. It has the lower and upper octave written in. And the lower octave is pretty easy to play, and the upper octave is getting up into the upper register for us, high B flat and A's. So let's go ahead and look at the first line, and I'll go ahead and play that. We're going to play at the first line, the lower octave. Alright, so now I have it in my ear. This is one of the reasons I really like beginner books, because it's going to give us simple melodies that we can get into our ear so we can now hear it. And especially if we make mistakes in the upper register, we can tell, hey, that's wrong, rather than just kind of, gliss around or smear around hoping, we play something close. Our goal is always to make music. So let's try the upper octave here. Let me get myself set for the upper octave. Alright, let's give us a try. So that gives you a little bit of an idea, which you can use the flute book for. And there's so many great examples throughout the book. But please remember, choose something that is a little bit challenging to you when it comes to this. Don't pick something that's going to go above what you can comfortably play. This is a step-by-step process. And just like when you started playing, you didn't start on page 15. You started at the beginning of the book and then you worked through. Same thing. Step by step, take your time. Don't be rushing through this. Alright, so that's an example of a flute book and what you can use for that. Alright, let's go on to something else. And you can see by the picture, it is a saxophone. You can use alto, but sometimes it's nice to have tenor sax, because they will jump to the upper register a little quicker than what we would think. Okay, so we can see this. Isn't that funny? Trumpet Voluntary by Mr. Clark. Now, it's already written up there for us. If you have problems with reading ledger lines, this is a great way to start learning to read ledger lines, is through these method books. And getting to realize that it's just music, it's just notation. There's nothing special about seeing ledger lines. It's just a note they want. It's not that it's further away or harder to play. You just have to come up with the method and the technique for that. Alright, so I talked about the mute before. We're going to put in a straight mute. I like it for a couple of reasons. Well, originally when I did it as a kid, it's because my parents couldn't stand to hear me practice because I was kind of loud, and you're playing the upper register. It's sometimes can be a little scary and hairy, and People don't like to hear that. So we're going to use that. But the other reason I like the mute is it helps you feel the slots. What's the horn doing? How's it feeling? What's going on up there? All right, so let's look at this one here. So that's what that feels like. Then, I think I got a good feeling for it. I'll take the mute out, and we'll see if I can get it to slot the same way. And you can hear me frack, I think it was the F I fracked. F, G, and A, for me, that's where I start having slotting problems. And it's even in the upper register when we get into double G and double A. I have a break up there as well. So we'll get into that, how I work through that. But right now we're just trying to get you comfortably into the upper register. The idea with these beginner books is that you can flip through and find some really interesting tunes here that will challenge you, but not be super, super hard. All right, let's look at high school cadets here. Let me get the camera zoomed in on there right there. Okay. So high school cadets, we have to go up to a high C, but we don't just hit the high C, we have to play it musically. And what you're going to notice is you can't really hide with this. It's a melody. You can see the melody, you can hear the melody in your head. So it's not like you just go up there and smear around a bunch of high notes and hope to get lucky with it. This is going to make you accountable for it. All right, so let's kind of play a little of this and see what we have. Let me set myself for it. And I just took the second ending there. So you gotta get the idea of the control. Now, what I probably should have done is play it first with the mute, because I want to hear where the slots are at. Let's see, I played the straight mute. Let me go to the harmon mute here. Good. And you'll notice if I get a good buzz sound, that means I'm in the center of the note, so the intonation's also better. And I have a tendency to be playing flat. That's just my tendency. I know I have to work on it really hard. And when that happens, then I start noticing myself, man, I'm on the low side of the note way too often, or my tone is not where it needs to be. I go back to practicing with a mute so I can get that nice buzz sound with it. That means I'm in the center of the note. So you can, work on the upper register with the help of the mute, but you can also work on your intonation too. It also gives you a little bit of resistance and helps you through it. All right, let's go look over here, number 3. Now, this is another reason I like these kind of books. All of a sudden we have a high C, but the high C is not, in the center of the melody. It's on like an accent really to the melody. Your main melody is down in the staff around middle C, as we would call it on trumpet. So you have to go from a high C to a second line G. So this is going to really connect the whole register for you. All right, let's go back to the straight mute on this one. All right, set for it. I had some problems on that second line. Let me try that second line here if I can get the slots. The nice thing about these exercises, it keeps you honest. You can't hide with it. And the mute, you can help find the slots. You're not smearing so much. But again, you can't hide. Let me try that one again. Second line. Oops, sorry. No, mute fell out. I should probably replace those corks. All right, let me try that again. It's that C to A interval that's getting me. So that's what I would work on, is getting a chance to work on that interval, that C to the A. So you can see here, you're not just practicing upper register, you're actually practicing music as well. It's a nice little system to use these beginner books for that. And yeah, even here, you get a chance to work on some scales, different keys. Really nice. All right, let's go look at a trumpet book. And this is an oldie. And this might actually be my first method book I started trumpet with. That would have been 1984 when I, yeah. Yeah, you guys get to have the internet and all kinds of nice stuff. There was nothing like that around for me. All right, so let's look here. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Yeah, I do think this is my old book. She wants to fall apart right there. So that's a melody a lot of us know. It's going to take us up to a high C. So let's just play this down the octave where it's at. Alright, now I'm going to put a mute in because I'm going to go to the upper register and I want to feel the slots. Okay, get myself set. Yeah, I had to find that slot. It just, my ear was telling me where to go, and I didn't want to force it, and I hope you guys understand that. I didn't want to force that note because then I'm not using the correct embouchure setting. I'm not using the correct air and tongue position. I was just waiting for it to actually happen because this is practice. I'm not worried about playing this and performing this. If I was going to perform this, oh man, I'd be working on this every day until it's second nature with this song, per se. But right now, we're just doing some exercises and trying to be musical and teaching and learning in a step-by-step process here. All right, so let's go back here. Let me try that again with the mute. Okay, let's try this again without the mute. See, there's my break right there, that G. Let me try that again. There we go. So here I'm working on my break. You'll notice that sometimes anything between F, G, and A above the staff, I tend to I can lock in sometimes I can't. It's also because of the equipment I'm using right now. I'm using a fairly deep mouthpiece right now because I have some gigs coming up where I'm playing in a church, and it's more melodic sounding. I'm not trying to be a lead guy with it. But also at the same time, I hope you can understand, you don't have to have what they call a lead setup to play in the upper register. Upper register music is there for any kind of setup if it's a part of a piece of music. You don't have to be a screamer, and sometimes I don't like that term. So because how's screaming music? You can wail and get up there when it's part of the energy, but you want to play musically as well. So that's just my ideas on that. So this is the tenor book, and there's all kinds of good stuff. I'm sorry, not the tenor book. This is the trumpet book. Boy, I'm having a senior citizen moment here. All right, so let me look at another trumpet book with you guys. This is a more current one. And let me go to the marked area here. Something for all the young at heart here. Number 63, bingo. And we get to go up to a high B flat. And we have kind of a false ending here. We don't end on the downbeat, so you have to think a little bit on this one. All right, let's do the lower octave first. Okay, let's go to the straight mute. Again, we're trying to feel for slots. Set. Okay. See how much control I have on this one. Out the mute. Good, and you heard the A. The A was just kind of a scoop. It's right there on that slot that I have, you know, that trouble with the break on this, the break on this particular setup. Now, when I have more of my lead set up, I don't have the break right there necessarily. It's actually closer to like a B flat C, just because of equipment, the gap in the mouthpiece, whatever. But because I am going to play this in a gig coming up, I'm going to work on that a little bit. I'm going to start on the second line there with the mute here. Try again. So you see, you can't really hide. You can't hide. You know the song. Your ear's going to say, All right, without the mute. Oh, that wasn't good. There it is again. Crack, I'm coming down on it. Yeah, I'll try again. Yep. And I tell you, if you ever play wedding music, you'll be in that register a lot. If you're playing a regular B flat, you know, E, F, and G's on top of the staff. And these kind of exercises will really help you with being accurate with it as well. All right, so that is the beginner books. Now I want to go to some oldies but goodies. To help you with this. And you can see how old mine is. I have to have duct tape on it. This is the Arbenz book. With that, and let me see if I can get around here to what we are going to look at. Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 24. Let me adjust here so you can see. You can see I worked out of this book a lot. Great book. Alright, so we are going to play the top line here, where it's written. First, to get it in our ear, get control. Alright, here we go. Alright. Sorry about that. My fan's on right here. It's blowing it around a little bit. Hopefully we can keep that. Alright, we're going to try that sequence to work through the upper register. We're going to try for E, because so far I've been playing around high C, and some of you guys might be beyond that. Let's get up to the E here. What else I like about this, you can see these lines, they're longer. You can play the whole exercise. This is also great for endurance, not just working on the upper register. And accuracy. Alright, here we go. So, that takes you to the high E with that. Let me see here. What else can we do with that to keep you comfortable? Let's do some descending. I want to skip down to the third line right here. Because we've been ascending. Let's go to here. We'll do it in the correct octave. Yeah, and these examples here I would save, once you got, a little bit of control up to a high C. Then you can start working on it this way. I would stay in the beginner book until you're there with some of this stuff. Now, there are some exercises in the Arbenz a little closer to the front that you can probably do that. I just chose this one because I've been talking around high C. Let's try to, expand us up above high C. All right, we're going to put the mute in so we can get the slots on this one. Yeah, I'm all over the place, aren't I? Alright, that's with the mute. Alright, let's see where I'm at with this. Yeah, you hear my breaker on the A's and the G's again? Yeah, I'm going to have to spend some more time on that. Usually when I play in high stuff on lead, I'm up in the upper register. I'm not connecting it to the low register as often. So, yeah, I've got a big hole in my game I have to work on. And I never profess to be a professional. I'm just, a happy-go-lucky band director here to have fun, but I just want to share some ideas with you guys. Alright, so there are some ideas there in the Arbenz. Let's go back a couple pages. And we can work on some endurance stuff here. Let me scoot you over to one of my favorites, and you can see it's highlighted in green. See, they had highlighters in my day too. I was working on this back in probably 1990. Let me get you squared up there. There we go. I think we got her now. Yeah. Now you're kind of tilted, but we'll just keep it there for a moment. Okay. So we have, in the correct octave, and I ended right here on the C because I just want to finish, the phrase. All right, let's see if I got anything in the tank for this one. completely lost the partials there, didn't I? Where's a good place for me to start? Beginning. I went to the F there, but yeah, what I should have done is slowed down. I really do well, tendency me, I tend to do well ascending. Descending, I tend to, relax a little too much, and that's a problem I have to work on. Again, this kind of stuff you can't hide, and I'm not going to edit this. This is me playing, and I'm going to show you what I'm working on too. But if a hack like me can get up there to double G, on a big mouthpiece, and this is not my name word, this is just an old student Yamaha trumpet too. And I think, what am I playing on there? I'm playing on a 5C. Okay, so nothing's special here on that. So just trying to show you that we have tools accessible to us. We don't have to go out and buy special books with high note technique and stuff like that. Not to say there's not anything bad out there about it, but we have all kinds of good stuff right here that we already use. And let me show you one more good one here. 21 was my favorite just because it was an endurance test, and I hate to say it, unfortunately, it's probably the first time I played 21 in about 2 or 3 years. I'm sorry, I'm gonna tell him myself. All right, let's go look here at number 19, because I like what it's doing here, especially for our goal of upper register control. And this is why I like it. Half notes here on the high, and then of course back down to the low, which is a fifth, connecting registers. But you get to hold out the upper harmonic. So let me see here. Let's try the first line. Okay, a little bit of deceptive cadence there. How nice is that? Well, we can get into the actual theory of that one, but that's not. Let's keep this fun and simple. Okay, here we go. Okay, and me, if I'm trying to master that one, which I should try to master everything, I would do that again, except I'm going to put a mute in, because I want to feel where those harmonics are at, and they're slotting in this horn. Now see, that was easier for me to play because I can feel the slots on here, and the break's not as big as a deal. So what I do now is when I go back to play it without the mute, I'm going to try to imitate that feeling in my head of where it's at. This is all like fine motor skills. Playing in the upper register is fine motor skills. It's not pure power. Yeah, you have to have more power, and Jordan does a great video series on the compression, and it is physical, but it's a lot of finesse here. So let's try that, see if I can get those slots to come. Yeah, I want to work on those interval jumps of a fifth there, from like the D to the G and the E to the A. But, a few days with it on the mute, I'd probably have it. Okay, so there's ideas on that. Okay, we're going to go to another oldie and goodie. One of my absolute favorites. Let me go over here. I got so much stuff here to show you, and not much room to do it in. Alright guys, now we're going to look at some Clark. Clark is really nice for expanding the upper register, especially if you read the techniques that Clark prescribes with playing softly, using different articulations. We're going to look at exercise number 2, or second study, and we're going to look at number 37 here. So let me see if I can zoom in for you a little bit. There we go. The key of F. Now I found this to be helpful for me just because in drum and bugle corps, and I'm showing my age, when I was in drum corps, we only had 2 valves. There was not a third valve, and the bugle was in the key of G. So number 37 and 39 were extremely beneficial for me because it's also a flow study. It connects notes of the register. You can use it for articulation. But I started to play them in different octaves as well, so I can find my bass and find where I needed to be and create a nice controlled tone. My corps, we were playing the Holst suites for military band. So yeah, I had some double G's in there because in drum corps there are no flutes and piccolos. So the bugle, soprano bugle, which was what I had to do, had to play that high, but I couldn't sound like a screaming lead trumpet. I had to be able to play controlled. So I use these exercises to help me out with it. So let's look at number 37. We'll play where it's written. Okay. Now I'm going to set, and we're going to take it up the octave. Okay, then once I had control over it, I would then, of course, articulate and tongue it. And then when I get really comfortable with it, I would start to do arpeggios at the end of it. In this case, it would be F-A-C. And if I really felt good, I'd go F-C, F-A-C, high F, or even do a scale. So let me see what I have here. Let's start on 37. I'm going to single tongue it. Okay? And this is like the other things we've done. It exposes your weaknesses. And right now I'm having trouble with the A and the B flat with the articulation. And I'll work on that. Let's look at number 39. We're just going up a whole step to the G. Okay? Now, one thing I do like is at 39, for instance, in the second measure, going up to the D, I may hold that D out a little longer, more of a flow style, because I'm trying to work on the upper register, but I want to do it, musically and melodically. And it teaches you control. And the other nice thing is you can start working on doing this as prescribed in the book. Try to go 2-3 times through in one breath. So that will also work on endurance, but it teaches control. And it's a wonderful, wonderful exercise to expand musically without hurting yourself. And of course, you keep doing the octaves. You can go to the A flat next, then the A, and then the B flat, B natural. That's always a fun one for the fingerings. But looky here. Get you centered. Number 44. Starts on a C. If you take it up the octave, you're going to end up with double G. And this one I could do with my bugle, and this is how I would usually end my warm-up with this particular one. And right there you can feel the slot. Sometimes you gotta let them come in, and the C to the E to the G slot, sometimes you'll slide, you gotta let them pop, 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 find exactly where they're at. All right, let's try the octave here. So you have the idea, and of course, if I was really warmed up, I might try to do the arpeggio, the C to the double C or C, E, G. But I've been playing on and off here right now, and I want to keep it, somewhat appealing to the ear. I don't want to be squawking and squeaking on that. But that's a great way of doing it. There's another aspect here. Let's go to study 1, where we have chromatics. And again, you can take these up the octave. And a real good one here is, move you down here a little bit, number 19. Okay, and then take the octave. That'll increase your bass right there, especially if your high C is really solid and you're trying to ascend into the next part of the register. If that's not where you're comfortable yet, then you go up to number 14 and you do the G. Just some examples. And of course, you don't have to play it that fast. When I was learning this stuff in the upper register, I was more like this tempo. Oh, sorry about that. A little scratchy throat there. Caught me to cuff that note. So I would take my time with it. And the neat thing is, if you can tell by my voice, this is still fun to even play around with. I'm trying to get comfortable with these notes to make them playable. I'm not trying to reach for them. I want them to be comfortable. And I can't emphasize that play them softly. It may sound like I'm playing loud because the microphone's right here with me. I'm really not. I'm probably maybe mezzo piano. I'm not really playing loud at all on that. All right, so there's some tools for you on that. That's the Clark book. I want to go back real quick to the Arbenz and briefly talk about the break. And this is number 17 on page 42 of the Arbenz. And I'll go into the break in a little more detail another time. But for here, my break is that G, A, and B and such. We're going to use lip slurs in the Arbenz to help us with some of those problems. So we're going to look at number 17. We're actually going to use the fingerings they suggest. They're suggesting 1 and 3 to start with. So let's look at that. I'm going to just play the first line there. All right, now we're going to do the octave. Same fingerings. you can actually, from my vantage point, hear it pop. Bo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee. I'm trying to find where that slot is. I don't want to smear. And some people like to use glissandos, and glissandos are great for trying to find stuff. But unless it's written in the music in certain styles, you don't want to get in the habit of glissing between notes, especially in the upper register. You want to be able to pop it. And then I would go back to number 17, and I would actually tongue them here. See? And I'm actually relaxing too much for the lower note coming in with the articulation, and it shows you where I'm smearing. So what's really nice is you can't really hide. And then, of course, you can go on to like number 18, where you start playing them. Let me focus you here. In eighth notes. And take the octave. Sorry. Okay, and it will show you what the notes feel like up there. Again, this is all about fine motor skills. You're trying to find where everything is at, the finesse of the note, and you want to play it musically. You don't want to go at it all muscle, per se. So I hope these ideas help you. Ask questions, how other people are doing it. These are just some things I came up with years ago, and I use with my students. Another great tool that you have is Jordan's Perfect Practice PDF. And I will do a little bit of a video on that some other time because I'm not really ready for that and warmed up right now for that one. But that, I think, is an extension of these ideas that we're working on with the Arbenz and the Clark. And it's absolutely fantastic. All right, I hope this helps out, guys. I wish you all the best.